What? Jesus Christ. You wanna hear some of my vocal warm-ups? Hold on. Tom Fulp, the wildest, wackiest cowboy in the West. Proprietor of the Saltine Spittoon. For big cowboy blokes alone. I've been been doing that stupid shit for like 15 minutes. Oh man. Let's go. What's what's going on, boys? Abstract sort of feel today. Lots of moving parts. Bear with me. For the last while, I've felt like a house built on sand that's losing its sand. And that feeling got a lot worse recently following two events. Firstly, I have a criminal record, and I learned now, for certain, there is nothing I can do about it. There is never going to be truth, justice, or honesty, in my case. The system is never going to be fixed, and I'll be justifying this weight imposed on me by bad people to other people who don't give a shit. Could be worse. I could be dead. I could be in prison. But it shouldn't have been like this in the first place. And it's been more than demoralizing realizing how bad things are, have always been, and will continue to be. And there's just certainly now nothing that can be done. Then I had a friend who I think is suffering some kind of divine punishment. He stumbles into good things and then fucks them up by his own actions, then never learns from his mistakes. And the last time we talked, he was sitting between two golden paths in life. And which path does he choose? Neither. Choosing to drink, let's fuck 'em both up. And I don't live nearby anymore, so I can't knock some sense into him. But he's also kind of a cunty Karen who's unpleasant to be around. So I ghosted him because I'm not going to enable your bad decisions and hold your hand and pat your head through them while you're being an annoying, pouty pussy. And you layer those two things on top of everything else, and the emotional house is about to collapse. Now, there's this idea you're supposed to give without expecting anything in return. And that's troubled me for the longest time because almost never do I give this to get that, or with the expectation of getting that. But I do absolutely give with the idea of paying it forward and then being paid forward karmically or cosmically at some point. And that got tested to the extreme. And that's a whole story in and of itself, but essentially, I gave over 20 hours of emotional support without receiving one, "Are you okay?" And I had this moment of an emptiness I don't know how to describe. And I had to reevaluate what was happening. What am I looking for? Someone to care about me. And you feel empty because no matter what you do, nobody cares. Now, what if you did receive one, "Are you feeling okay?" Would it fix anything? No, it'd probably make you feel worse. Okay, then, if you got exactly what you were looking for, realistically, would that fix anything? Would one human trying with everything they had to care about you make you feel better and make the problems go away? No. The amount of care you're looking for would take everything from a person, which isn't realistic, And even if you could get it, you wouldn't want it, because that level of care is pure taking. It's not good. Therefore, if there's nothing to be done, then what is there to be done? Nothing. In fact, you're probably creating more distress for yourself looking for a solution that doesn't exist. And when I realized there is no fixing it, so much of that pressure disappeared. Now, it wasn't all gone, but a huge part of it was. I was able to sleep, I was able to enjoy things again. And that realization, that release, reminded me of one of my other favorite teachers, Alan Watts. So I started listening to him again. He has a bunch of lectures on YouTube, they're all wonderful. And I started watching Eternalised's videos on Jung. I'll link his channel in the description. And between those two, there are a bunch of concepts that are building into something else. So, again, bear with me. The first one is your gold, and finding people to carry your gold for you. Gold, quotes, has a bunch of different definitions, but here, gold means the qualities you love about yourself that are too hard, too heavy, too scary to wear and carry for yourself. And because your gold is so heavy, you look for other people to give your gold to. People who seem to have the qualities you like about yourself, but are too afraid to embody, because you don't know you're strong enough to be those things yourself. For the longest time, I've been looking for people who are, or seem to be, what I feel like I am. Now that's one concept, and a linking concept to that. One of my professors, one of my mentors, someone who I've had carry my gold for a few years, some of it. He said something important to me, and he put it in a way that was perfect. I bought some of his old books that are out of publication. They're hard to get because I wanted him to sign them, so when I carried his memes into the future, which I think is, if you want to honor someone, the best thing you can do is to carry their ideas forward, I would have additional physical links with him. But I also brought my copy of Psychological Types. I had just gotten it. And I wanted him to sign that too, because he was the one who introduced me to Jung. And while he was signing it, I admitted to him that I was intimidated by it, by the book. With this one, I'm not going to have a professor, I'm not going to have a guide, I'm not even going to have a schema. I am intimidated by the idea I am not going to understand this enough. And he said, you don't have to feel intimidated. He didn't say you shouldn't feel intimidated, as in you're wrong for feeling that way, or you should feel this instead. He said you don't have to. Meaning, you are where you are, and if you don't like where you are, you can move when you're ready. That meant a lot to me because it undoes a bunch of concepts or preconceptions, preconceived notions. And concepts are not real. That ties back into the, not the it is what it is thing, but the just it is thing. And instead of going in the way my note card planned, we'll jump into the Watts bit, because my professor reminds me a lot of Watts, even though he never read Watts. T-I-N-E, all that jazz. And that ties into a whole other thing, but hold on. The idea you're already here. Nothing needs to be done. There is nothing to be done. Tying back into the original point, you can't fix it because there's nothing to fix. It's not broken. It just is. And you can say that a million times and not feel any better because you don't believe it. But once you are confronted with the reality of it, that there is nothing to fix, there's nothing to be done, you're already here, a tremendous amount of pressure goes away. Rocks don't have concepts, and they're just fine. Capybaras give zero fucks about anything, and people love them. If you disappeared right now, everything would be fine. Whatever you think is of the utmost importance isn't. It's all fine. It's a game. It's not... It's okay. Everything is okay. And that leads into another thing, weird coincidences, maybe synchronicities. Just so happens, as I'm working my way through these feelings, these ideas, dude in my comment section and I start talking about it. About Zen and all these... this. That coincidence is something in and of itself. I don't believe in coincidences. But for the longest time, I've had trouble explaining why instinctively I like some people and don't like others. There seems to be a lot of stuff happening there we don't understand, but there does seem to be a rhythm to it. But even though you can't explain something, doesn't mean it isn't there. When two thieves meet in the road, they need no introduction. That is a simple way of explaining a complicated, confusing, difficult to understand and explain phenomenon that gets it exactly right. Something to think about tied up in all this. Now, back to Jung, or one of Jung's followers. I don't remember his name, I know Eternalised covered him, but he was of the mind your shadow carries much of your gold. And there are two parts to this. If you repress your shadow, it will come out at some point. You'll have no control over it, and when it does, it won't be pretty. In his anecdote, he exercised Herculean patience with some people staying with him he really wanted to tear into, but he didn't, and he wanted to reward himself, so he went to a tree nursery to get a plant or something, and he got into a nasty argument with the owner and made a fool of himself because he took out all his repressed shadow stuff, his anger, on a different person, not on the people who deserved it. Now, if you make friends with your shadow and integrate it and do things you feel but would normally repress, you gain the strength to carry your shadow's gold. So he said he was feeling anxious before a lecture, and an old woman told him to go into the bathroom, wet a towel, yell at the top of his lungs, and throw the towel on the ground as hard as he could. And he said he did it, and he felt foolish doing it, but when he lectured, the anxiety was gone, and he lectured with passion. That's that concept, another concept in this concept pie. But there was another one mentioned in passing that rung especially true for me. When you see someone who really hates authorities, there's probably a tyrant chained up inside them that will break out at some point. I spent most of my childhood engineering situations in which I had power, rules for thee but not for me, or ensuring nobody else had power. And I stopped doing that because I realized I was emulating the people I hated most. and getting further and further away from the people I admired most. My grandfather on my mother's side was the most patient, intelligent, giving, caring man I've ever known. And in fact, a lot of people have ever known, apparently. And that sort of person became what I thought I wanted to be or should aspire to be. But I was neglecting the fact I'm not my grandfather on my mother's side son. I'm not just my mother's son. I'm also my father's son and my grandfather on my father's side's grandson. And they are fucking violent, militant, authoritarian people. My grandfather grew up in the Philippines, had 14 brothers and sisters. All of them died except for him because he was meaner. He abused my father, my aunts, and my uncle constantly. One of my earliest memories of my father was him following a dude who cut us off to an intersection, getting out, knocking him out, and then kicking him while he was down before getting back in our car and driving us away. And I've spent most of my quotes older life trying not to be that, but actually repressing that and trying to ignore that's very much there. But it comes out in different ways. A concept from a book I read when I was 17 or 18 when I liked reading a whole lot. Intellectual violence. Trying to beat people down mentally. And that's tricky because you can always, one, hide behind, well, I'm right, and two, people can try to throw you off being right by throwing everything I just explained in your face and saying that's what's happening. There's being right because that's correct, and there's being right because you're trying to do something. And if you or someone else is in the latter camp, it is hard to do anything about. And in trying to chase that shadow away, you don't make it go away. Your shadow never goes away. It just gets sneakier, and when it takes control, it really, really, really takes control. Now, taking all these concepts together, nothing needs to be done. Everything is okay. You don't have to chase that shadow away. You don't have to fix anything or achieve anything because everything already is. Whether or not you achieve anything or fix anything, if there were anything to be fixed. You have a lot of yang and a hell of a lot of repressed yin. You hate your shadow, but you also love it. What do you stand to lose trying, embracing your shadow? That's what I've been trying. Letting myself embrace all the things I would normally repress. I'm fortunately in a situation I can yell and get away with it. So I have been doing a lot of yelling lately, if you can't tell. It started with screaming profanities until I couldn't scream anymore. And then I felt a lot of relief. And the next time it happened, I didn't need to scream profanities until my lungs were about to come out of my mouth. I just groaned, like Benji from Sound and the Fury. I'm walking around in my replica's ear, going, holy Jesus Christ, until I'm seeing stars. There aren't words for how good this stupid shit feels. There are just extended, goofy-ass groans. And it feels really good. And I laugh, and that feels good. You try that neurodivergence, do it one good long time until it gets weird sounding, and try to be angry about something afterward. It's impossible. I've tried inarticulately telling people what I think or what I think about them if they're pissing me off, and that feels good. I'm not stressing it. It's all going away. All going where it's supposed to go. Not going inside, not being repressed, not getting displaced onto other people who don't deserve it. And I don't know what that's going to evolve into, but trying to pretend I like people I don't like, or respect people who don't respect me, it's liberating. Not needing to do that soul ashing garbage. And the other thing, I've been breaking stuff. I tried hand-rolled cigarettes because I thought they might taste better. Tangent. I get more nicotine vaping than I do from smoking, yet there's still a desire to smoke sometimes, so something else must be happening. And I wanted to try hand-rolled cigarettes to see if they would taste better or something would be different, and I couldn't figure it out. My fat fingers could not roll correctly. I was sitting outside, I was sitting in an old camping chair, and the camping chair busted on the back left side, just busted as I was trying to light another hand-rolled cigarette. And when I inhaled, first I inhaled flames, I think, because it burned the shit out of my mouth, and the side of the paper just burned all the way up the side. And I jumped, and then the chair busted. Like, I went, oh god, you can't see it. But the back left side came off, and then I sat there holding the cigarette until all the paper burned away, and I said, I'm going to destroy this camping chair. I am going to beat the shit out of it until I am tired of beating it. And that's exactly what I did. I just absolutely destroyed it. And I took part of it, and I was hitting other parts of it, and I was throwing it against things. And I did that for maybe 30 minutes until I'm sweating, exhausted. Tore up all the stupid rolling papers. Hate 'em. Fuck 'em. Fuck that fucking camping chair too. Throw that thing around till it's all dented. And I felt so much better doing that than I would have otherwise, doing what I would normally do, which is control my reaction, put it inside, and then probably take it out on something or someone else who has nothing to do with it at some point. And then I tried lifting. That's something I hadn't done in about a week and a half. I'd been putting it off, mostly out of fear, I think, because for some reason, lifting can drastically change your mindset about everything, and you have almost no control over it. That's why it's humbling. So I went into bench and I did 225 instead of 245 because I was really stressing about the 245 thing. Why isn't this working? I mean, I can move it, but I can't. It's been falling off. And if I fail that, then there's something wrong with me, and then there's this, and then there's that. So I'll just do 225. And even though 225 is less, I'm still stressing about it. For some reason, 225 still freaks me out. I was feeling weak. My mind was not in the right place. It was not a recipe for success. But then, for whatever reason, I was able to move it like it was nothing. Even though my mindset was all fucked up, even though I was feeling weak, everything just worked. Everything moved in concert, like it was natural. Sorta like I had nothing to worry about. It was the strangest thing in the world, because when your mindset is fucked up, you can't do that stuff. But it happened anyway. Like, like it didn't matter. Like it was a game. And it was a game. It is a game. There's nothing to be done. I still don't understand it. But all that stuff put together was another tremendous relief. Knowing you can embrace your shadow and enjoy its gold, your gold, feels it's so relieving. I don't like the way that dude, the Jung follower, put it, but he said something along the lines of, it's more painful and disruptive to realize you're noble than it is to realize you're nothing. I really love myself, and it was killing me pretending that I don't love myself and that I'm not worth loving. And lately, enjoying myself, including the sound and fury parts, has felt amazing. I've been enjoying being lazy. I've been enjoying playing games. I haven't really enjoyed playing games in a long time. I mean, I play them, but rarely have I been able to reach the point I'm in there. I'm enjoying it. And then finally, after a point, I was able to cry again. And that felt relieving. Crying for the wrong reasons, or crying when something's wrong, doesn't feel relieving. But when you're crying for good reasons, when everything feels right, when everything feels righteous, nothing feels more relieving. In summary, Watts, you're already here. Everything is... There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to be done. And Jung / his follower, embrace your shadow and own your gold, together have made me feel a whole lot better. I don't know where that's gonna go, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Recommendations: is this thing that's causing you so much grief something important, or is it something you think is important? And what is it going to take for you to realize it's the latter and let go? You're already here. And 2, if you hate something beyond belief, there's probably something close to your soul in there, and you might enjoy taking it and owning it. But that about rippity wraps this one up. I hope you enjoyed watching, so certainly enjoyed making it. Catharsis is the word I've been looking for. It's catharsis. Enjoy catharsis when you find it. It's just catharsize. Like if you enjoyed, because it helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit sometimes. And comment your thoughts, because I love hearing from you. What catharsis do you have? Or what are you really worried about? What are some moments that broke you out of realizing there's nothing to fix? Or into realizing there's nothing to fix? Thanks again for watching, everybody. Really, we have a lot of fun on this channel. So much fun, in fact, you can try rolling it up and smoking it, but then it'll burn your fingers, and you'll look like a chimpanzee in the woods, breaking a chair and groaning. Wacky, backy, sticky, stacky stuff. That's so much for me on this channel. I look forward to doing this with you guys again in the future.